Hello, and welcome to another episode. I'm Salmon, and this is my YouTube where I play Ark and talk about random stuff. Today's episode, I'm going to share with you a post that I made on my Facebook. It's kind of an excerpt, well, what I would hope to be an excerpt for the book about my life and the lessons. People who've gone through my catalog of episodes, especially back to the beginning. The reason I even started this YouTube is to help me find my voice, and try and put some of my more abstract ideas and lessons into words and a coherent pattern, so that I can share it with others. I've always felt that my life story is filled with valuable lessons that I would love to share with other people, but I've never found the right words. Well, this post that I did on my personal Facebook, it actually it's actually I think I did a good job. I think I actually managed to put one of my deals into words. But I felt it was really well written. I'd like to share it, so bear with me. Today's episode is me reading this and then me saying thank you and going on to other episodes from there. This will lead into the rest of the week's episodes. From this point, I'm reading this, and then the next episodes are just me going to be kind of free going off of what it gets me going on, right? Because the way this is, it is something that could lead me into various tangents and blah, blah, blah. And, well, I'm just going to read this. Let's get going, shall we? When did it happen? When did I grow up? I find myself so different, yet I don't remember changing, except for a few rare moments. And the first that led to me setting my life right, well, that was 21 years ago. I remember thinking that I needed to change, but I didn't know where to start, because none of us do when we're that young. So I decided on one thing. I would be honest to others, but most importantly to myself. I try real hard not to lie to myself, but it's harder than most people think. We lie to ourselves all the time if we don't stop ourselves, but I do. I stop myself all the time from lying to myself. Now, understand, at this point in my life, I wasn't a good guy yet. Yeah, that's right. I think I'm a good guy. What of it? I was a bad guy with a good heart. I was a young thug come straight out of the trailer park. Typical white trash, really. Maybe even softer than some of the others I had seen come out. But I knew I had to change. So, like I said, I decided I wouldn't lie anymore. We would start there and see what that got us. I had just been fired from one convenience store for being a white guy. And that actually was the real reason I was let go. Because of that, and because of the actual store manager did like me, he wrote me an amazing reference letter. But I learned a lesson that day. Discrimination laws aren't worth the paper they are written on, because it's nearly impossible to prove unless the person is dumb enough to actually write on paper that discrimination is the reason. I realized that day it was all just paperwork, and at the end of the day, if a person wants to fire or evict a person, they can, as long as they dot their I's and cross their T's. But using that reference letter, I easily got another job at another convenience store. Unfortunately for the owners of this store, I didn't actually want a job. The only reason I was getting the job was my mom, in her attempts to try and teach me responsibility, was forcing me to get a job and pay rent at a time when I actually wanted to go back to school full time. And, well, I was a young thug and felt entitled to the world, don't you know? And despite that fact, I still remained true to my decision not to lie. Despite not wanting the job, I remained honest. I must say, I was a horrible employee. There was at least 2 times I actually fell asleep behind the counter. One time a customer come behind and woke me up. I would shoplift probably $15 worth of merchandise a night myself, and when people come in and ask if they could shoplift, and yes, criminals are dumb. I legit had a spiel about, just watch out for that camera, and this camera, and the magazine rack is free. And just in general, I was a total slacker. I may as well have just burned my reference letter before I found a job for my behavior, honestly. But through that, I maintained my honesty. If I was supposed to do something but didn't, when I was asked about it, I would give the honest truth, including if the reason was just because I was lazy. Thankfully, I can honestly say this was the last time I was this bad of an employee. Every job after this, I gave an honest effort. Though backroom drama and ego trips were still yet to happen. But those are other stories. What matters tonight is the first step was just being honest. I remember laughing about this job many times over the years, not because I was good, but because I was so bad and yet so honest about it. And so, when I think about when did it happen that I grew up, I don't think it was this moment, but this was the start. And that's that. I really enjoyed it. I like I say that's really just a starting point. There's so many different directions that I can go with, so many other stories that I can go into. But for today's episode, I'm just going to leave it at that excerpt, and we'll leave the episode titled "When I Grew Up," or "When Did I Grow Up." But if you enjoyed that little excerpt, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more content, comment, let me know your thoughts on that, and feel free to share. And tune in for tomorrow's episode when I go into more detail on honesty. Till tomorrow, thanks for watching.